Welcome to our series, CC Video. In this episode titled, CC Video 002 Global Struggle for a Plastics Treaty Agreement, Nations at an Impasse, we delve into the ongoing international negotiations around a global plastics treaty. From the current state of discussion to the rising politics and environmental concern, we will examine why a unifying agreement remains elusive and the global consequences of persistent plastic waste. It's a story of urgent deadlines, intriguing debates, and the broader struggle for environmental sustainability. Let's dive in. 1. Current state of negotiations. The journey toward a global plastics pollution treaty has been a rocky one. Delegates from over 175 countries have gathered for 2 years, attempting to reach an agreement to tackle this pressing issue, yet divisions remain stark. The daunting task of negotiating a treaty is illustrated in the current 70-page draft, which contains over 3,000 disputed terms and clauses. This dense document has become unwieldy, especially with just 1 week of formal discussions left. It's uncertain whether the upcoming final round of negotiations will yield a cohesive treaty, leaving many frustrated and anxious about the outcome. 2. A new draft emerges. Ecuador's proposal. As tensions rise, Ecuador's ambassador Luis Valles Valdiviso has put forward a fresh approach. Chairing the United Nations meeting in Busan, South Korea, Valdiviso introduced a streamlined, non-paper draft, which simplifies the process by omitting proposed texts for key provisions. Despite being unofficial, this document intends to guide negotiations more effectively. However, skepticism persists whether this draft will succeed in aligning delegates to continue talks in Busan using this version rather than the more complex original draft. 3. Political shifts and their impact. Part of the struggle to finalize a treaty lies in the shifting political landscape. The prospect of Donald Trump returning to the White House introduces uncertainty, especially given Trump's support for fossil fuels, the primary component of plastics. Environmental advocates have criticized the Biden administration's perceived lack of ambition in treaty negotiations. However, recent signals indicate a potential shift toward more aggressive action against plastic pollution, hinting at a willingness to reduce plastic production as part of the treaty provisions. 4. The role of environmental advocacy groups. Environmental organizations like the Center for International Environmental Law, (CEIL), remain vocal in ensuring a robust treaty. They argue that the United States, as one of the largest producers of plastic waste, holds a significant role in the treaty negotiations. Without a strong treaty, the global effort to curb plastic waste could falter, leaving petrochemical interests to benefit while environmental damage persists. CEIL and others advocate for strict treaty language to limit global trade for non-participating countries, presenting economic incentives for U.S. involvement. 5. Understanding the consequences of plastic waste. The stakes are high, as plastics pose a triple planetary threat involving climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. Plastics disrupt and destroy marine ecosystems, and when disintegrated, these tiny particles infiltrate human systems, contaminating blood, brains, and even placentas. Chemicals within microplastics could impact human health, affecting fertility and hormonal processes. With 40% of plastic products used once and then discarded, the environmental fallout is hard to ignore. 6. Approaching the deadline. Urgency in Busan. The forthcoming gathering in Busan presents a pivotal moment for international negotiators. It's been dubbed Inc. 5, marking the 5th attempt at crafting an actionable treaty. The backdrop of rising plastic production levels, which reached 460 million metric tons in 2019 and could triple by 2060, underscores the urgency. Less than 10% of this staggering amount gets recycled globally. The involvement of the UN Environment Assembly, UNEA, since 2012 reveals a long history of efforts to address marine litter, showing the complexity of addressing plastics across their life cycle. 7. Debate over treaty enforcement. One major contention is whether the treaty should enforce mandatory requirements or lean on voluntary national actions. The non-paper draft leans toward the latter, fostering concern among environmentalists. Proposals for plastic product redesign to enhance recyclability are highlighted, but critics fear a treaty lacking binding regulations will replicate weaknesses seen in the Paris Agreement on climate. Greenpeace highlights the need for obligatory commitments, especially around production, to effectively mitigate the plastics problem. 8. Business involvement, allies or opponents. The treaty negotiations also showcase differing stances within the business community. Some firms advocate for a strong treaty, seeing it as an opportunity to drive sustainable practices and emphasize environmental justice. Others, particularly from the petrochemical sector, push for solutions that permit continued plastic production. Business coalitions stress the need for coordinated global action to address pollution comprehensively, underscoring their pivotal role in propelling legislative progress. In summary, the global pursuit of a plastics treaty remains fraught with complexity, political dynamics, and differing perspectives. Whether a meaningful agreement emerges, or the initiative falters under the weight of opposing interests, remains to be seen.